You took the first step, you bought your minis, and then you took the second step by putting them together. But now we're at the third step, painting them, which for some, you know, if you've had some sort of painting experience, you kind of understand. But if you're brand new to the hobby completely, like you've never painted in your life, it can be kind of scary. It can be a little bit daunting, especially because there's a lot of things out there that you don't necessarily understand, like primer, base paints, shades, washes, speed paints, first step. Like there's a lot of different things out there, and I can understand that they can be a little bit confusing and overwhelming, especially when you're brand new to the hobby and you just dropped, you know, anything between $40 to $100 on this kit, and now you have to spend all this money on, you know, paint. I created this video because I wanted to show you guys from the very first step of painting down to the last step. This is going to be from priming all the way down, and then I'll discuss kind of like what each thing is for, what each thing is useful, how to handle your brush, and then just equipment that I use in general, just to make it easier for you guys to kind of wrap your heads around the painting aspect, because it can be a lot. Let's head on over to the desk. That way. It's that way. All right. Make sure to like and follow. That way I know what you guys are into. And comment below, please. We're going to go over is primer, which is honestly one of the most important steps, which is something that we always advocate. And a lot of people I feel don't really go over as much, but you will always need to prime your minis. This one is one that I'm using with my airbrush. I put a little bit of thinner just so that it can go through the airbrush and doesn't clog very easily, but it is definitely a very important step. There are a variety of different primers. This is just one that I use with an airbrush just because it's a little bit easier and I have an airbrush, so if you have one, great. I suggest going with something like this. Rattle cans are also a great option. Right now, what I'm doing is a zenithal highlight, which is when light is hitting it from the top. A lot of people really like doing this because it gives you like a definition as to where the highest points are, and it, you know, helps you kind of map out what you're gonna do. Now, a very popular thing to do is use one of these paints. It's either a contrast paint, first step, or a speed paint. I'm going to be using the one step from Monument Hobbies, mainly because I did pick them up over at Adepticon, and unfortunately I actually forgot to paint the model itself, like on screen. I ended up doing it off screen, so here it is me just adding a little bit extra just to kind of show you what it's going to look like. Now, the reason why you want to use something like this for a zenithal highlight is because it's very transparent. It has other mediums inside of it that other paints don't, to make it extra transparent, so that way you can see the highest points and the darkest points stay dark. I don't recommend this unless you're doing a zenithal highlight or you're using a white primer. Now, let's say you don't have any of these and you just bought black primer and you just bought paint. It's perfectly fine to use your standard paints such as War Paint Fanatic, Pro Acryl, or Citadel, now Warhammer paints. I think speed paints, contrast paints, and all of those are great once you kind of get used to painting a little bit more. These are the paints that I primarily use: War Paint Fanatic, Pro Acryl, and Turbo Dork. Turbo Dork is more for specialty things, so I don't use them as often unless I want some special effects or metallic colors. Otherwise, these are the main brands that I use, are Pro Acryl and Army Painter. Now, again, these aren't the ones that you have to use. These are just the ones that I prefer. These are very good paints, so if you're new and you are shopping around, these are two paints that I highly recommend for starters, because they're really easy to work with. They're fairly thin, and in general, they're just really good paints. They have really good pigmentation, they go on really well, and I live in a very dry climate, so these, even though where it is very dry and moisture gets sapped out of the paints, they still, you know, stay fairly wet throughout the entire time that I'm painting my minis. Now, we're gonna do a highlighting process. I'm gonna use this brush. It's a size 2 from Gilded Goblin. Now that we added the base color to our model itself, we're gonna work on a little bit of highlight. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna lightly wet our brush. And now you can see when I kind of go across my skin, you can see that it's slightly wet. Now you're gonna feel it like it's cold. That's kind of what you're looking for, because that means there's enough moisture in the paint itself, so that way the brush doesn't dry out, and that way your paint doesn't dry out while it's on the brush itself. So in order to, you know, give a nice transition from that darker green to a much brighter green, I'm gonna mix the two green colors. I'm gonna test it against my skin just to see how translucent it is, because the whole point is I want it to have a little bit of water in it, so that way it's not fully caked on and it's slightly translucent, so then when I add layers and I kind of like scratch on the paint, it can actually create a nice transition from the darker colors to the brighter colors. So you can see in those little areas that it is starting to get slightly brighter. We're going to be kind of adding that on. Now think of it like lightly scratching the paint. You're not full on placing the tip of the paint onto the section that you're painting. It's almost like the side-ish of the brush. You're kind of going at it at an angle, and that's kind of what you're looking for, because that gives you the most amount of control in order to add those highlights. And in like this specific section, you can see that it is substantially brighter what's underneath, but doesn't completely overtake and doesn't create like an entire square. It has that little bit of transition from that darker green to that brighter green. And again, think of it like lightly scratching. Do not add a lot of pressure. You want to do very, very light. It's almost like it's slightly just catching off the area that you want painted, and that's good, because then that will create more of a realism, like light is specifically hitting those spots. That's kind of what you want to look for, because when it comes down to it, you know, light doesn't hit from every direction. It only hits from specific angles. Granted, like, you know, bounces, and that's a whole other thing that we're going to go on later on, because this video is, you know, beginners. We're not going into light theory altogether. Now we're going to go on to the next color, because we're going to go work on the teeth and on the eyes. So for the teeth, I don't like using straight up white. I like using a grayish tone or some sort of darker color that gets close to white. White I usually reserve for the highest points of brightness, mainly because in nature not many things are directly white. They're white adjacent. So this is like a gray neutral tone that I wanted to use as the base, so that way I can layer other colors on top of it. Now the only thing is, because this is almost a white tone, you're more than likely going to need a couple layers. Now I think instinctively you might want to go ahead and add like cake on a lot of paint, but I recommend doing multiple thin layers. That way you don't get rid of any of the details. Especially in miniature painting, there are a lot of small details that if you cake on the paint, they kind of go away, and it kind of defeats the purpose of a lot of these models. You know, you want to show off all these features. So here I'm adding a dark wash that I'm going to add onto the teeth to kind of give it a little bit more texture, and that way it gives it a little bit more life, because, you know, this is a monster. Of course, it's not going to have perfectly white teeth. They're going to be a little bit darker, a little bit dirtier, so that's kind of what we're going to do here. We're not going to end this stuff here. We're not going to end it here, I mean. Obviously, we're going to add a little bit more texture after the fact, but right now this is like really good to kind of get the tones down. And another interesting thing is, when it comes to washes, speed paints, contrast paints, those kinds of things, they take on the properties of the color that's underneath. So, you know, think of color theory. If you put a color underneath that complements the other one, the effect that you're going to get is going to be very different. I recommend using a neutral tone if you're going to want to use the contrast or the wash color a lot more, which is why we use this gray color in this situation. Now, using that same gray color, as the teeth dry, we're going to add it to the eyes, because we're going to use another wash to sort of make the eyes a little bit more, you know, creepy, scary. So we're going to start with that same gray tone, and we're going to cover all the eyes. It's going to be roughly about, if I remember correctly, I think it was like 3 layers of the gray over the eyes until it kind of completely coated it. Obviously, if the color underneath is brighter, only because here is like a dark green, and that's what kind of makes it more difficult for the color to look even. If you use a brighter color, obviously it's going to be a lot easier to work with, which is why when you use contrast paints or washes, people usually coat it with white first, because that way you can see everything a lot nicer. We're going to have a magenta colored eyes, because why not? And also because, you know, color theory, it's a complementary color, because the main color for the model is green. Pink or magenta is a really good contrast color, and it'll pop a lot more. It'll make it more interesting to look at. That's something that you also want to keep in mind, is, do these colors make sense? Like, you don't want to just throw colors on there, you know, think about it. Think about why you're placing these colors. Do these colors complement? Do they look good together? When it comes to washes, they do tend to take a little bit longer to dry. So usually when that happens, I'll do 1 or 2 layers, especially because in this specific situation, I really wanted the colors to pop in the eyes. So I did do a couple layers. So I want to say about 3 layers, but I waited fully until all the layers were complete. So the main step that you want to take away from this is priming is really important. You can just stick with a black primer, whether it's rattle can, airbrushing, or anything like that. You're going to need a base color. It doesn't have to be a specific color. It can just be whatever color you want. And then from there, you're going to add washes and highlights to sort of accentuate anything that you want from the model itself.